Age of Exploration, the tutorial series guide beginning with the lumber tutorial guide, and always to profit while being in the bay. So the basics to the game, while understanding, of course, that Age of Exploration is a relatively new game, mostly begins with the understanding of how the heck the game actually works. The majority of the game is based around factions, where essentially you end up joining a Roblox group, primarying it, getting a title over your head that prevents team kill, and then from there moving forwards in the frontier as to join a side. Most likely, factions usually belong to the colonists, and the natives are considered, for the moment at least, not as organized as the colonists usually with factions. There is, of course, a third option, but we don't talk about that just yet, because I'll get to that in another video, which is one of the main game's factions, of course, and for the moment, the game is still growing. So, the game will give you a tutorial when you begin to basically understand a little bit of it, but I'm going to give you pretty much the rundown after this guy does, named Chadwick Brown, who, of course, I feel like I've heard that name before. But anyways, there are many professions you can go into in the game, the biggest of which being obviously the lumberjack, as Chadwick will tell you at the beginning of the game. This is pretty important, because there's a lot of things in the game that will make you money, between hunting, killing other players, obviously going to islands, which I'll explain a little bit later in the video, because that'll make you gradual income the longer you're on them, and the more that your faction holds if you get involved in a faction, and then of course selling items and or trading with other players for rare items that come out of game-sponsored events, which will eventually be on a weekly basis. Now, the game has just begun running ads, so it is in a couple hundred average players at the moment, and I'm very excited to be a part of it. So, of course, more tutorials will be coming out very soon as well. This is a heads up to all the people that happen to be interested in it. So beginning with the actual guide of the game, one of the primary objectives at the beginning of the game is to obviously make money. Now, typically joining a faction is one way to do this, when the faction leaders or another officer within the group typically gives you enough money to buy yourself a uniform, some clothes, and obviously just anything else you need between food, bandages, flintlock balls, and of course a musket, and sometimes a meal aid, depending on how well fortified they need to be on an island conquest or other things, which again we'll cover later in the video. So some of the basic things that you should be aware of is that actually selling tree logs, unless you're planning on making a furnace, or called a smelter now, is something that you should be doing pretty actively. Getting tree logs and essentially going to the general store, scrolling down and selling them, as I'll demonstrate later in the video, is the most efficient way of making money in the bay, especially if you want to get a 99 Robux robust axe that will chop wood about twice faster than a normal axe. Now, normally a log sells for 8 pounds, a torch will sell for 5 pounds, a crossbow will sell for 40 pounds, a trading post will sell for 57 pounds, a ground torch will sell for 5 pounds again, an engineering station will sell for 2 pounds, and a campfire will also sell for 5 pounds. Now, this is vitally important to understand because these can all be crafted by logs. However, they're all practically worthless to actually go sell other than making the actual tree log, as typically the tree logs are worth more than all of these actually by crafting them, therefore making them worthless in a nutshell unless you're actually planning to go mining outside of the bay, therefore meaning you're not going to be in a safe zone while actually doing that. So you can practically make more money by creating smelters and furnaces. However, it would not actually be naturally worth it because oftentimes you can be entirely looted, lose all your money that essentially that's on you at the time, and also very commonly you can lose quite a bit of your guns and everything else basically that's going to be on you. So normally when you are trying to do these kinds of things in the game, what you should practically try to do is try to buy a robust axe from another player for them to be able to market it to you, typically in the Discord of Age of Exploration at the moment, which is a new Discord. If you want to check that out, it'll be in the link in the description. However, these kinds of things are normally things that you're going to want, so saving up a good amount of money by obviously just making money in the game, by naturally just going to chop trees, selling the logs in the general store, and saving up money to get yourself a robust axe from another player is pretty important. So I would generally recommend that as a starting method, and typically, based on this system of getting 8 pounds per log, 100 logs in an estimated time that I was able to achieve should take you anywhere from 15 to 17 minutes, meaning that per hour you should be able to make up to 3,200 to 3,500 pounds using this exact method with a normal axe. Now, however, using a robust axe, I did the ratio on this as well, it should take you approximately the same amount of time to make roughly 7,000 to 7,500 pounds, meaning that over time, using a robust axe will gradually do more for you, and of course there is a random ratio of how many logs between 1 and 3 you will get, but on average I found that obviously with the ratios being there, that the majority of the time this would be mostly achieved based on just the average ratio of how many logs and practically and probability of how often you're going to get the 1 to 3 log, and of course how often you're going to get the 3 log in the game. This is pretty important, obviously, to the system of how you're going to make money in the game, and obviously starting in a peaceful area like James Bay, where you're not going to have that much of a problem chopping down trees because players can't kill you here, is going to be one of your easier methods to obviously get into the game, so I would recommend in most aspects to begin with chopping wood. Something I have yet to mention in this video, however, of course, is the faction side of things, and for new players that are watching the video, obviously, and are moderately interested in the game, I would heavily recommend if someone tries to invite you to a faction in-game and you're not currently in one, I would strongly urge you to join one, because essentially it's a group of people who oftentimes have a Discord server, which also you should join. They will group up and go fight in the frontier or on the islands in 25v25, or even sometimes stacking up over 100 people at times to go send to different servers to go fight, usually again in that 20v20 or 20v25 format, and it is a very interesting thing to do in the game. That's a lot of fun, so definitely if you do see anyone in game and you are newer to the game that is in a faction, possibly ask to join. Low ranks will also receive rewards oftentimes for recruiting new members, so they're very enticed normally to invite you or to help you become a member of that faction. Obviously don't try to kill or troll them in advance, but if you are a new player, obviously, please go join a faction, please be active in the game from that, and it's a lot of fun to help everyone in that aspect. Plus, you get more battles and you get to enjoy the game a couple more. Just a mid-roll out of essentially the entire video that I wanted to remind you guys, if you're watching at this point, feel free to subscribe or like down below in the video. It does help me out a lot. Genuinely, likes help to process the views on the channel, and the more subscribers we have, the more we get recommended, the more the game grows, and the better I have as an opportunity to keep making content. So thank you guys very much. Once again, it helps more than you know, and back to the video. So also something to get involved with for newer players that are, of course, new to the game, self-explanatory, is that getting involved with a trading company is normally something that you're able to do. Very oftentimes, they'll actually sell guns to a lot of the factions and or weapons. Sometimes they'll bring ammo out to the front lines and or bandages if they're holding an island during an island event, which is actually something held by the developers quite often that actually will hand out rare items in the game, enticing more people to usually go to those battles rather than losing their stuff or fight in the frontier. As I said, I'd explained that a little earlier in the video. Now, other things to mention is how to eat in the game. Oftentimes eating is just overshadowed because people don't really understand how to do it, and a lot of new players have this question quite often. So what you have to do, you can either take the food from your starter inventory and or you can go buy it in a store for a cheap amount of pounds, as obviously I've said to chop down trees and sell them in the general store, which you'll find very quickly. It is in the bay, no worries. Walk up to the merchant and then attempt to sell what you have to the merchant so that from there you can go buy bread or other materials that would be good food for your character to eat. You can tell your hunger bar in the bottom left, when it reaches 0 you will not instantly die, you will take a heavy amount of health damage until you gradually do die. I believe this is the same with warmth at the moment, but I'd have to check. And other than that, make sure by right-clicking, pressing G to open your inventory, and then right-clicking on the food, you'll be able to eat it, and that is how you do it. You can also drag and hold and then take your items out of your inventory from where they are on screen in your inventory by pressing G again. When you do take items out of your inventory, they will drop on the ground and other players are able to pick them up. Remember this, for a lot of the new players, they don't actually understand that. So if you are a new player and you didn't already know that, I'm glad I was able to tell you. Other than this as well, another thing that many newer players miss out on is how to actually fire a gun. Now, something you have to realize is that you do need flintlock balls to actually fire any gun in the game, which are oftentimes purchased in the general store or other merchants around the entirety of the game. This is very important to get because you are able to reload your gun, as well as bandages, which can be equipped from your main inventory to the side inventory or your main hotbar, to be able to bandage yourself, or essentially quick bandage yourself, as some of the pros are able to do, which means that you'll be able to heal yourself if you're consistently under fire or getting shot. You can also pick someone up off the ground, meaning they've already died, by bandaging them. Respawn times do get reset with this as a heads up, so you can't just bandage all your friends and then as soon as they die, they do get respawn. So it will take quite a bit of time, and it's a manual respawn. Just keep this in mind when you are playing the game, so that you don't actually accidentally screw over your friends by bandaging them prior to your entire party getting looted by another enemy party. Other than this, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys very, very much for watching. I will be uploading daily going forwards. Feel free to follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Yakare, if you guys happen to be interested there. The Twitter, Yakare was taken. And, of course, we will be doing giveaways in my Discord if you guys happen to be interested for many Discord Nitros, possible auction events in the future for this game and many others. So I appreciate you guys very, very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.